Welcome, weary traveler, to a journey through time, a gentle descent into the sands of antiquity. Tonight, as the world outside softens and the quiet of night descends, we embark on a tranquil exploration of one of humanity's most enduring and captivating civilizations, ancient Egypt. Close your eyes, let your breath deepen, and allow the gentle current of history to carry you away. Imagine, if you will, a land forged by a majestic river, the Nile, whose annual inundation brought life and sustenance to a narrow strip of fertile green amidst vast, golden deserts. For thousands of years, along these sacred banks, a society blossomed, driven by an unwavering belief in cosmic order, a profound connection to the divine, and an unparalleled mastery of monumental art and architecture. This is not merely a tale of pharaohs and pyramids, but a narrative woven from the daily lives of farmers, artisans, scribes, and priests, all bound together by a shared culture and a profound understanding of their place in the universe. As we drift through the millennia, we will witness the dawn of a unified kingdom, born from the merging of disparate nomadic tribes into a cohesive state. We will explore the grandeur of the Old Kingdom, an era defined by the construction of the Great Pyramids, those colossal testaments to human ambition and engineering prowess that still stand sentinel over the Giza Plateau. Feel the silence of the desert night as you envision their construction, stone by immense stone, under the watchful gaze of the stars. Our journey will then lead us through periods of change and transformation, through the First Intermediate Period, a time of decentralization and regional power before the resurgence of a unified Egypt in the Middle Kingdom. This was an age of literary flourish, of profound spiritual introspection, and of renewed national confidence, where the focus shifted from colossal pyramids to more intimate yet equally powerful expressions of royal power and piety. Picture the bustling markets of Ichtawi, the capital, filled with the murmur of commerce and the scents of spices from distant lands. We will then glide into the opulence and power of the New Kingdom, the zenith of Egyptian imperial might. This was the era of warrior pharaohs like Thutmose III, who expanded Egypt's borders to an unprecedented extent, and the magnificent Hatshepsut, a female pharaoh who reigned with immense authority and initiated ambitious building projects. Imagine the sun glinting off the gold and lapis lazuli of Karnak Temple, its towering pylons and hypostyle halls, whispering tales of millennia past. This period also gave us the enigmatic Akhenaten, who dared to challenge centuries of religious tradition. And of course, the boy king Tutankhamun, whose untouched tomb would millennia later reveal a breathtaking treasure trove of ancient wonders. As the sun sets on the New Kingdom, we will witness the gradual ebb and flow of Egyptian power through periods of foreign domination by Libyans, Nubians, Persians, and eventually the Greeks, under the guiding hand of Alexander the Great. His legacy, the Ptolemaic dynasty, brought a Hellenistic influence that intertwined with ancient Egyptian traditions, culminating in the reign of the legendary Cleopatra II, the last pharaoh of Egypt. Even as new empires rose and fell, the enduring spirit of Egypt, its unique worldview, and its deep connection to its land and gods persisted. Finally, we will observe the twilight of ancient Egypt's independent existence as it becomes a province of the vast Roman Empire. Yet, even under Roman rule, the echoes of its glorious past resonated, its temples still honored, its ancient rituals still practiced. The legacy of ancient Egypt, its art, its writing, its astronomical knowledge, its profound understanding of life and death continued to inspire and intrigue, reaching across continents and centuries to touch our modern world. So let the gentle rhythm of these words guide you into a restful state. Release the day's worries and allow your mind to wander through the ancient landscapes of the Nile Valley. This is a journey of discovery, a peaceful exploration of a civilization that, even in its stillness, speaks volumes about the human spirit. Let the history of ancient Egypt wash over you, a soothing narrative designed to lead you gently into the realm of dreams. Our journey into the heart of ancient Egypt begins not with pyramids, but with whispers of wind across vast ancient landscapes. Imagine a time, long before written records, when the Sahara was not the formidable desert we know today, but a more verdant savanna dotted with lakes and seasonal rivers. Here, nomadic hunter-gatherers roamed, their lives intimately connected to the rhythms of nature. As the climate slowly shifted around 7000 BCE, the Sahara began its transformation into an arid expanse, gradually pushing these early inhabitants towards the life-giving artery of the Nile River. This gradual migration fostered the conditions for settlement as communities coalesced along the fertile banks, drawn by the predictable annual inundation that deposited rich black silt, making the land incredibly fertile. This unique geographical feature, the long, narrow ribbon of fertile land flanked by barren desert, would profoundly shape the Egyptian worldview and its civilization. As we drift through the pre-dynastic period, roughly 5000 to 3100 BCE, we witness the gradual emergence of distinct cultural groups. Settlements like Nakada and Badari begin to thrive, demonstrating early forms of social stratification, sophisticated pottery, and even rudimentary metallurgy. The dead, buried with grave goods, suggest a nascent belief in an afterlife, a theme that will become central to Egyptian thought. Small agricultural villages grew into larger towns, and with increased population density came the need for more complex social structures and, crucially, a unified system of irrigation to harness the Nile's power. This collaborative effort to manage the floodwaters, to dig canals and build dikes, fostered a sense of community and laid the groundwork for centralized authority. By around 3200 BCE, two distinct kingdoms had emerged along the Nile. Upper Egypt, situated in the south, characterized by its dry desert landscape, and Lower Egypt, in the north, a marshy delta region teeming with life. Each had its own regalia and symbols. Upper Egypt's white crown and its patron goddess Nekbet, the vulture, and Lower Egypt's red crown and its patron goddess Wadjet, the cobra. These two lands, while distinct, were destined to unite, a pivotal moment that marks the true dawn of dynastic Egypt. The unification of Egypt is often attributed to King Menes, a semi-mythical figure from Upper Egypt, around 3100 BCE. While his exact identity remains debated, many scholars associate him with Narmer, whose famous Narmer palette depicts a king wearing both the white and red crowns, symbolizing the successful subjugation of Lower Egypt. This act of unification was not merely a military conquest, but a profound political and religious act, establishing the concept of the two lands and laying the foundation for a unified monarchy that would endure for millennia. Memphis, strategically located at the junction of Upper and Lower Egypt, became the first capital, a bustling center of administration and religious devotion. With unification came the early dynastic period, c. 3100 to 26686 BCE, an era of consolidation and innovation. The concept of kingship began to evolve, with the pharaoh, a term meaning great house, referring to the royal palace, and later the king himself, becoming seen as a living god, the earthly manifestation of the god Horus. This divine kingship was the bedrock of Egyptian society, ensuring order, prosperity, and cosmic harmony, known as Ma'at. Early tombs, known as mastabas, evolved from simple rectangular structures into more elaborate brick and stone constructions, signaling the growing power and resources of the early pharaohs. These mastabas were the precursors to the pyramids, their flat roofs and sloping sides containing burial chambers for the elite and offerings for the afterlife. As we gently transition into the Old Kingdom, c. 2686 to 2181 BCE, we enter the age of the pyramids, a period of unprecedented architectural ambition and centralized power. This era, encompassing the 3rd to 6th dynasties, is often considered the golden age of Egyptian monumental construction. The very first pyramid, the Step Pyramid at Saqqara, rises before us, designed by the brilliant vizier Imhotep for King Djoser of the 3rd dynasty. This revolutionary structure, a series of mastabas stacked atop one another, marked a radical departure from earlier burial practices and demonstrated a profound leap in architectural skill and organizational capability. Imagine the awe these colossal structures must have inspired in the ancient Egyptians, symbols of their pharaohs' divine power and their society's incredible cohesion. The 4th dynasty saw the culmination of pyramid building, with Sneferu, the first king of this dynasty, being a prolific builder, experimenting with different designs, including the bent pyramid and the red pyramid at Dashur. These trials and errors ultimately led to the perfect form of the true pyramid. And then, standing proudly on the Giza Plateau, we encounter the ultimate testament to Old Kingdom power, the Great Pyramid of Giza. Built for King Khufu, This immense structure, originally covered in gleaming white casing stones, was the tallest man-made structure in the world for over 3,800 years. Alongside it stand the pyramids of his son, Khafre, and grandson, Menkaure, protected by the enigmatic Sphinx, a monumental guardian with the body of a lion and the head of a pharaoh, gazing eternally eastward towards the rising sun. These pyramids were not merely tombs. They were complex funerary complexes designed to ensure the pharaoh's eternal journey to the afterlife and his continued role in maintaining cosmic order. Surrounding them were smaller pyramids for queens, mastabas for nobles and officials, and vast cemeteries for the workers. The construction of these colossal monuments required not only immense labor, but also sophisticated planning, intricate logistics, and a highly organized society. Farmers, freed from agricultural duties during the annual flood, provided much of the workforce, demonstrating the state's ability to mobilize vast resources for its grand projects. The Old Kingdom was also a period of significant administrative development. A complex bureaucracy emerged, with viziers, overseers, and scribes managing every aspect of the kingdom, from tax collection to irrigation projects. The cult of the sun god Ra gained prominence, with the pharaoh increasingly identified as the son of Ra. Daily life, while centered around agriculture, also saw the development of various crafts, from intricate jewelry to finely carved furniture. The Egyptians of this era developed a unique artistic canon, characterized by its strict adherence to conventions, its emphasis on order and balance, and its profound symbolic meaning. Everything from the proportions of figures in relief carvings to the placement of hieroglyphs was imbued with deep significance. As we conclude this chapter, reflect on the incredible achievements of the Old Kingdom. It was a period of stability, prosperity, and monumental ambition, laying the cultural and political foundations for all subsequent Egyptian history. The pyramids, standing silent and majestic, serve as enduring symbols of a civilization that, even in its earliest stages, sought to defy mortality and connect with the divine. The careful preservation of the pharaoh's body through mummification and the elaborate burial rituals reflected a profound belief in the continuity of life beyond death, a belief that would shape Egyptian society for millennia to come. As the gentle currents of time carry us forward, we observe a shift in the landscape of ancient Egypt. The immense power and centralized authority that characterized the Old Kingdom began to wane, giving way to a period known as the First Intermediate Period, c. 21181 to 2055 BCE. Imagine the vastness of the Nile Valley, no longer held tightly by a single supreme hand. Instead, power became decentralized, diffusing among regional governors, known as nomarchs, who ruled their respective nomes, administrative districts, with increasing autonomy. This era was a time of internal strife and fragmentation, a contrast to the unified grandeur that preceded it. The authority of the pharaoh in Memphis diminished, and the vast resources once channeled into colossal pyramid building were now directed towards local interests. Climate change, leading to lower Nile floods and subsequent famine, likely exacerbated these internal tensions, contributing to the breakdown of central authority. While this period is often depicted as chaotic, it also fostered regional creativity and the emergence of new artistic and literary styles. For the first time, common individuals might aspire to some of the burial practices and texts previously reserved for royalty, reflecting a broader democratization of the afterlife. We see a proliferation of local cults and an emphasis on personal piety, as people sought solace and guidance from deities closer to their immediate lives. However, the Egyptian spirit, with its deep-seated desire for order and unity, could not long tolerate such fragmentation. From the southern city of Thebes, a new power began to rise. The rulers of the 11th dynasty, particularly Mentuhotep II, slowly but steadily began to reassert central control. Imagine the arduous task of reunifying a land that had splintered, a process that involved both military campaigns and shrewd political maneuvering. After a period of conflict, Mentuhotep II finally succeeded in reuniting Upper and Lower Egypt, marking the beginning of the Middle Kingdom, c. 2055 to 1650 BCE. This era, spanning the 11th, 12th, and part of the 13th dynasties, is often considered a golden age of Egyptian culture, especially in literature and the arts. The capital shifted from Memphis to Ichtawi, near modern-day Fayum, strategically located to better control the vast resources of the Fayum oasis and maintain influence over both Upper and Lower Egypt. While not marked by the colossal pyramid construction of the Old Kingdom, the Middle Kingdom saw significant building projects, including temples, fortresses, and irrigation works, particularly in the Fayum, demonstrating a renewed focus on practical governance and resource management. The pharaohs of the 12th dynasty, such as Senusret III and Amenemhat III, were particularly strong and effective rulers. They solidified royal power, reformed the administration, and expanded Egypt's influence beyond its borders. We see a move away from the distant divine pharaoh of the Old Kingdom towards a more engaged, shepherd-like ruler, concerned with the welfare of his people. Royal portraits from this era often depict pharaohs with more realistic, even weary expressions, suggesting the burden of leadership and responsibility. This subtly reflects a changing perception of kingship, where the pharaoh was still divine, but also a mortal leader facing earthly challenges. One of the defining features of the Middle Kingdom is its rich literary output. This was a period when Egyptian literature truly flourished, producing timeless masterpieces that explored profound themes of human existence, morality, and the nature of kingship. Imagine scribes meticulously crafting tales like The Story of Sinuhe, an adventurous narrative of an Egyptian noble exiled abroad, or The Tale of the Shipwrecked Sailor, a fantastical journey to a magical island. Wisdom literature, offering advice on ethical conduct and proper behavior, also became prominent, reflecting a society that valued wisdom, justice, and social harmony. These texts provide invaluable insights into the Egyptian worldview, their values, and their understanding of their place in the cosmos. Artistic styles also underwent a transformation. While still adhering to the established canons, Middle Kingdom art exhibited greater naturalism and emotional depth. We see more diverse depictions of common people, and the focus shifts somewhat from the monumental and eternal to the individual and the introspective. Statues are less rigidly frontal, and expressions convey a greater range of human feeling. Jewelry from this period, often made with exquisite craftsmanship and incorporating vibrant semi-precious stones, showcases the refined aesthetic sensibilities of the era. The Middle Kingdom also saw significant military expansion, particularly southward into Nubia, to secure access to valuable resources like gold, ebony, and ivory. A series of imposing fortresses were constructed along the Nile, serving as strategic outposts and centers for trade and administration. These fortresses, like Buhen, were marvels of military engineering, designed to protect Egyptian interests and control the flow of goods from the south. The expansion into Nubia reflects a more outward-looking Egypt, eager to control trade routes and secure its economic prosperity. However, as the 13th dynasty progressed, the centralized power of the pharaohs once again began to weaken. A steady influx of foreign settlers from the Near East, particularly the Hyksos, began to establish themselves in the Nile Delta. Initially, these groups integrated peacefully, but gradually, their numbers and influence grew. By the late Middle Kingdom, political stability began to erode, setting the stage for another period of fragmentation. As we gently transition out of the Middle Kingdom, reflect on its unique contributions. It was an era of cultural refinement, literary brilliance, and a subtle but significant evolution in the concept of kingship. The pharaohs of this period, while still divine, also carried the weight of mortal responsibility, facing internal challenges and external ambitions. The Middle Kingdom reminds us that even after periods of decline, a civilization can find renewed strength, redefine its identity, and achieve new heights of cultural and intellectual flourishing. This era lays the groundwork for the immense power and glory that are yet to come. As the gentle current of time carries us forward, we arrive at the threshold of ancient Egypt's most magnificent and outwardly focused period, the New Kingdom, c. 1550 to 1070 BCE. Emerging from the tumultuous Second Intermediate Period, when the Hyksos, foreign rulers from the Near East, had gained significant control in the Nile Delta, the New Kingdom represents a powerful resurgence of Egyptian might and imperial ambition. The expulsion of the Hyksos by Ahmose I, the founder of the 18th dynasty, marked a renewed sense of national pride and a determination to secure Egypt's borders from future invasions. This desire for security, coupled with an eagerness to control vital trade routes and resources, fueled an unprecedented era of military expansion and international diplomacy. Imagine a period where the pharaoh was not just a divine king, but a formidable warrior, leading armies far beyond Egypt's traditional borders. This was the age of empire, where Egyptian influence stretched from Nubia in the south to the Near East, encompassing territories that included modern-day Syria, Lebanon, and Palestine. Thebes, with its magnificent temples dedicated to the state god Amun-Ra, became the spiritual and political heart of this vast empire. Its immense wealth, derived from tribute, trade, and the spoils of war, transformed Thebes into one of the most splendid cities of the ancient world. One of the earliest and most remarkable figures of the 18th dynasty was Hatshepsut, a powerful female pharaoh who reigned with immense authority. Rather than conquering, she focused on internal prosperity, ambitious building projects, and highly profitable trading expeditions, most notably to the mythical land of Punt, bringing back exotic goods like frankincense, myrrh, and even live trees. Her mortuary temple at Deir el-Bahari, carved into the cliffs, is a stunning example of New Kingdom architecture, reflecting her desire to be remembered as a true king, often depicted with male attributes, including a false beard, to assert her royal legitimacy. Her reign showcased a different form of power, one built on economic strength and monumental legacy. Following Hatshepsut, her stepson, Thutmose III, ascended to the throne and became known as the Napoleon of Egypt. A brilliant military strategist, he led numerous successful campaigns, solidifying Egypt's control over its vast empire. Imagine his chariots thundering across the Near Eastern plains, his archers raining down arrows, as he established Egyptian dominance. His campaigns brought immense wealth and prestige to Egypt, securing trade routes and ensuring a steady flow of tribute from conquered territories. He also undertook extensive building projects, particularly at the Karnak Temple complex, adding to its already colossal scale. The 18th dynasty continued its golden age with pharaohs like Amenhotep III, whose reign marked a period of unprecedented opulence and artistic refinement. His colossal statues and magnificent palace at Malkata near Thebes attest to the immense wealth and grandeur of his court. This was a time of diplomatic exchanges with other great powers of the Near East, as evidenced by the Amarna letters, a trove of cuneiform tablets containing correspondence between the Egyptian pharaohs and their foreign counterparts. These letters reveal a complex web of alliances, rivalries, and exchanges, painting a picture of a sophisticated international system. Then, a truly revolutionary figure emerged, Amenhotep IV, who later changed his name to Akhenaten. He ushered in a radical religious reform, abandoning the traditional polytheistic worship of numerous gods, including the powerful Amun-Ra, in favor of a monotheistic devotion to the Aten, the disk of the sun. He moved the capital from Thebes to a newly constructed city, Akhetaten, modern-day Amarna, designed to be a pure sanctuary for his new faith. Imagine the upheaval this must have caused in a society deeply rooted in millennia of religious tradition. This period, known as the Amarna period, also saw a dramatic shift in artistic style, moving away from the rigid conventions to a more fluid, naturalistic, and even exaggerated depiction of the human form, reflecting the pharaoh's unique vision. Akhenaten's religious revolution, however, was short-lived. Upon his death, his son, Tutankhaten, soon reverted to the old ways, restoring the worship of Amun and the traditional gods, and changing his name to Tutankhamun. His reign, though brief and relatively insignificant in its own time, became globally famous in the 20th century with the discovery of his nearly intact tomb by Howard Carter in 1922. Imagine the breathtaking sight of gold, jewels, and ancient artifacts, untouched for over 3 millennia, revealing the incredible artistry and wealth of the New Kingdom. The riches of Tutankhamun's tomb provide a vivid glimpse into the elaborate funerary practices and the profound belief in the afterlife that permeated Egyptian society. The 19th dynasty brought forth another line of powerful pharaohs, most notably Seti I and his son, Ramesses II, often referred to as Ramesses the Great. Ramesses II reigned for an astonishing 66 years, a period of immense stability, building, and military prowess. He is renowned for his numerous monuments, including the magnificent Ramesseum, his mortuary temple, and the colossal rock-cut temples at Abu Simbel, featuring 4 massive statues of himself guarding the entrance. Imagine the sheer scale of these structures, designed to impress and intimidate, reflecting the pharaoh's immense power and his divine connection. Ramesses II also engaged in epic battles, most famously the Battle of Kadesh against the Hittites, which ultimately led to the world's first recorded peace treaty. His reign was a testament to the peak of Egyptian imperial power and cultural influence. Daily life in the New Kingdom, while benefiting from the empire's wealth, still revolved around the Nile. Farmers cultivated the land, artisans produced exquisite goods for the elite, and scribes meticulously recorded every aspect of the vast administration. The vast temple complexes like Karnak and Luxor became bustling economic centers, employing thousands of priests, administrators, and craftsmen. The Valley of the Kings, the burial ground for many New Kingdom pharaohs, became a secret necropolis designed to protect the royal tombs from desecration, a stark contrast to the conspicuous pyramids of the Old Kingdom. As the New Kingdom drew to a close with the 20th dynasty, Egypt faced increasing external threats, particularly from the enigmatic Sea Peoples, who disrupted trade routes and challenged established powers across the Mediterranean. Internal strife, economic decline, and the growing power of the priesthood of Amun further weakened the central authority of the pharaoh. The grandeur of the empire began to fade, but its legacy of monumental architecture, artistic brilliance, and profound religious thought would endure for centuries. As we conclude this chapter, reflect on the vibrant tapestry of the New Kingdom. It was a period of unparalleled power, wealth, and cultural flourishing, leaving behind an indelible mark on the landscape and in the annals of history. The warrior pharaohs, the ambitious queens, the religious reformers, and the monumental builders all contributed to an era that defines much of our popular understanding of ancient Egypt. Allow the echoes of their grand achievements to resonate gently as you drift into deeper relaxation. As the opulent glow of the New Kingdom slowly fades, we enter a period of gradual decline and fragmentation, followed by a series of foreign dominations that would reshape the destiny of ancient Egypt. This era, encompassing what is broadly known as the Late Period, c. 1070 to 332 BCE, marks a significant shift from the unified grandeur of earlier times as Egypt grappled with internal divisions and external pressures. Following the mighty Ramesside pharaohs, the central authority of the state began to wane. The vast temple complexes, particularly those dedicated to Amun and Thebes, accumulated immense wealth and power, leading to a rise in the influence of the high priests who, in some instances, effectively ruled Upper Egypt independently of the pharaohs in the north. Imagine a kingdom divided, with spiritual authority vying for political control. This fragmentation of power, coupled with economic challenges and increasingly frequent incursions by Libyan and Nubian groups, ushered in a period of relative instability. The Third Intermediate Period, c. 1070 to 664 BCE, saw Egypt ruled by various dynasties, often simultaneously, reflecting this fragmented political landscape. Libyan chieftains, who had settled in the Delta and served as mercenaries in the Egyptian army, gradually rose to prominence, establishing the 22nd and 23rd dynasties. Imagine these foreign rulers adopting Egyptian titles and customs, yet still maintaining strong ties to their own tribal identities. While they attempted to restore some of Egypt's former glory, their rule was characterized by a lack of true central control, leading to regional skirmishes and a weakening of Egypt's international standing. From the south, a new power emerged, the Kingdom of Kush, located in ancient Nubia, modern-day Sudan. The Nubians, deeply influenced by Egyptian culture for millennia and revering Amun, saw themselves as the true guardians of ancient Egyptian traditions. In the 8th century BCE, a series of powerful Kushite kings, most notably Pianki and Taharka, conquered Egypt, establishing the 25th dynasty. Imagine these black pharaohs ruling over a unified Egypt once more, attempting to revive the old traditions and embark on new building projects, particularly in their homeland of Nubia, reflecting their own unique blend of Egyptian and indigenous cultures. For a brief period, Egypt was once again united under a single crown, albeit a foreign one. However, the rise of a new and formidable power in the Near East, the Neo-Assyrian Empire, would soon challenge both Egyptian and Kushite dominance. The Assyrians, renowned for their military might and brutal efficiency, launched several invasions of Egypt in the 7th century BCE. Imagine their ironclad legions sweeping across the Sinai, clashing with the combined forces of the Kushites and Egyptians. These invasions ultimately forced the Kushites back to Nubia, ending their rule over Egypt. With the Assyrian presence briefly established, Egypt saw a resurgence of native rule under the Sate dynasty, 26th dynasty, c. 664 to 525 BCE, also known as the Sate Renaissance. Supported by the Assyrians at first, these pharaohs eventually asserted their independence, benefiting from Assyria's own internal struggles. Imagine a renewed sense of pride and an attempt to hark back to the glorious days of the Old Kingdom, with an emphasis on archaizing art and architecture, copying earlier styles. This period saw a brief return to prosperity, with renewed trade and a more stable administration, but it was a fragile independence. The next major power to sweep across the ancient world was the Achaemenid Persian Empire. In 525 BCE, Cambyses II, the Persian king, conquered Egypt, incorporating it into his vast empire as a satrapy province. Imagine Persian satraps governing the Nile Valley, collecting tribute and introducing elements of Persian administration. For nearly 2 centuries, Egypt remained largely under Persian rule, a period that saw moments of rebellion and attempts to regain independence. But ultimately, the might of the Persian Empire proved too strong. The Egyptians, deeply conservative and proud of their unique culture, largely resented this foreign rule, though elements of Persian administrative efficiency were adopted. As we continue our slow drift, the stage is set for a monumental shift in the geopolitical landscape. In 332 BCE, Alexander the Great, the young and brilliant Macedonian conqueror, arrived in Egypt. Imagine his grand entry, welcomed as a liberator by the Egyptians, who chafed under Persian rule. Alexander founded the city of Alexandria on the Mediterranean coast, destined to become a vibrant intellectual and cultural hub, a beacon of Hellenistic learning and a major port. His brief stay marked the end of an era and the dawn of a new one. Upon Alexander's sudden death in 323 BCE, his vast empire was divided among his generals. Egypt fell to Ptolemy, one of Alexander's most trusted companions, who quickly established himself as ruler. This marked the beginning of the Ptolemaic dynasty, 305 to 30 BCE, a Hellenistic kingdom that blended Greek and Egyptian cultures. Imagine a Greek royal court in Alexandria, speaking Greek, practicing Greek customs, yet ruling over an ancient land deeply rooted in its pharaonic traditions. The Ptolemies largely adopted the role of pharaohs, participating in Egyptian religious ceremonies and building temples in the traditional Egyptian style. They presented themselves as the legitimate successors to the ancient pharaohs, embracing the divine kingship. Temple building flourished under their rule, with magnificent structures like the Temple of Horus at Edfu and the Temple of Hathor at Dendera being constructed, showcasing a synthesis of Greek and Egyptian architectural elements. These temples, often richly decorated with scenes depicting Ptolemaic pharaohs making offerings to Egyptian gods, visually reinforced their legitimacy in the eyes of the native population. Alexandria, the Ptolemaic capital, became a true marvel of the ancient world. Its great library, a beacon of knowledge, housed an unparalleled collection of scrolls, attracting scholars from across the Mediterranean. The Lighthouse of Alexandria, one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world, stood as a towering symbol of Hellenistic ingenuity. Imagine the bustling port, filled with ships from across the known world, and the vibrant intellectual life of the city, where Greek philosophy, science, and literature flourished alongside ancient Egyptian wisdom. The Ptolemaic dynasty was characterized by both periods of great prosperity and internal intrigue, succession struggles, and increasing involvement in Roman politics. The later Ptolemaic rulers, while outwardly embracing Egyptian customs, struggled to maintain control over a vast and diverse population. Agricultural wealth, particularly grain, made Egypt a crucial player in the Mediterranean economy, attracting the attention of the burgeoning Roman Republic. As we approach the end of this chapter, we arrive at the reign of the last pharaoh of Egypt, Cleopatra II. A woman of immense intelligence, charm, and political acumen, Cleopatra famously cultivated relationships with powerful Roman figures like Julius Caesar and Mark Antony, seeking to preserve Egypt's independence and her dynasty's power. Imagine her charisma, her mastery of languages, and her determination to protect her ancient kingdom against the inexorable rise of Rome. Her story is one of high-stakes diplomacy, military alliances, and ultimately a tragic struggle against overwhelming odds. As the opulent echoes of the Ptolemaic era still resonate, our journey leads us to the dramatic final act of independent ancient Egypt, centered around the captivating figure of Cleopatra VII. Born in 69 BCE, Cleopatra was not of pure Egyptian descent, but a direct descendant of Ptolemy I Soter, Alexander the Great's general, making her ethnically Greek. Yet, unlike many of her predecessors, she embraced Egyptian culture, learning the Egyptian language, the first of her dynasty to do so, and actively participating in religious rituals, presenting herself as the rightful successor to the pharaohs of old. Imagine a queen who understood the power of cultural assimilation, leveraging ancient traditions to bolster her authority. Cleopatra ascended to the throne in 51 BCE, initially co-ruling with her younger brother, Ptolemy XIII. However, sibling rivalry and political ambition soon led to conflict, pulling the fledgling Roman Republic deeper into Egyptian affairs. At this point, Rome was a formidable and expanding power, its influence already spanning the Mediterranean. Egypt, with its immense agricultural wealth, particularly its grain supply, was a vital strategic asset that Rome increasingly coveted. The fate of Egypt was inextricably linked to the intricate and often brutal politics of Rome. The arrival of Julius Caesar in Egypt in 48 BCE in pursuit of his rival Pompey the Great marked a pivotal moment. Imagine the political tension in Alexandria as Caesar, the most powerful man in Rome, became entangled in the Ptolemaic succession dispute. Cleopatra, shrewd and ambitious, saw an opportunity. Legend recounts her being smuggled into Caesar's presence rolled in a carpet, a dramatic entrance that reportedly captivated the Roman general. She quickly won his support, becoming his lover and bearing him a son, Caesarion. With Caesar's backing, she solidified her rule, eliminating her brother and reasserting her authority over Egypt. For a brief period, under Caesar's protection, Egypt enjoyed a period of stability and renewed prosperity, its resources now flowing into Roman coffers but also contributing to Cleopatra's own power. After Caesar's assassination in 44 BCE, the Roman world was plunged into civil war. Cleopatra, ever the pragmatist, understood the necessity of aligning with the most powerful figures. She found her next Roman champion in Mark Antony, a member of the Second Triumvirate, who controlled the eastern Roman provinces. Imagine the two leaders meeting in Tarsus, a lavish encounter designed to impress and persuade. Their alliance blossomed into a deep personal and political bond. Antony, captivated by Cleopatra's intellect and charm, became increasingly devoted to her and Egypt, spending significant time in Alexandria, to the growing dismay of many in Rome. Together, they envisioned a powerful Eastern empire, a Hellenistic kingdom that could rival or even surpass Rome. Their relationship and their shared ambitions were viewed with increasing alarm in Rome, particularly by Octavian, Caesar's adopted son and Antony's rival in the Triumvirate. Octavian skillfully used propaganda to demonize Cleopatra, portraying her as a seductive foreign queen corrupting a Roman general, and painting her as a threat to Roman values and the Republic itself. He rallied Roman public opinion against Antony, accusing him of abandoning Roman traditions for an Eastern despot. The inevitable clash came in 31 BCE at the Battle of Actium, a decisive naval engagement off the coast of Greece. Imagine the grand spectacle of two vast fleets, the fate of the Roman world, and indeed Egypt, hanging in the balance. Antony and Cleopatra's forces suffered a crushing defeat at the hands of Octavian's brilliant admiral, Agrippa. This battle effectively sealed the fate of both Antony and Cleopatra, and by extension, the independent kingdom of Egypt. Following the defeat at Actium, Antony and Cleopatra retreated to Alexandria. As Octavian's forces closed in, Antony, receiving false news of Cleopatra's death, committed suicide. Shortly after, in 30 BCE, with Octavian poised to parade her as a captive in his triumph in Rome, Cleopatra chose to end her own life, famously by allowing herself to be bitten by an asp, a symbol of royalty in ancient Egypt. Imagine her final act, a defiant choice to preserve her dignity and avoid the humiliation of Roman subjugation. Her death marked the official end of the Ptolemaic dynasty and, significantly, the end of over 3,000 years of pharaonic rule in Egypt. With Cleopatra's death, Egypt was annexed as a Roman province. Imagine the formal transfer of power, the symbols of ancient Egyptian sovereignty being replaced by the eagle standards of Rome. Unlike other provinces, Egypt was designated as Octavian's personal possession, reflecting its unique strategic importance as the breadbasket of Rome. This ensured Rome's direct control over the vital grain supply that fed its vast population and legionaries. Under Roman rule, Egypt was governed by a prefect appointed directly by the emperor, rather than a proconsul like other senatorial provinces. This special status reflected the emperor's desire to maintain tight control over Egypt's wealth and prevent any ambitious senator from using its resources to challenge imperial authority. Roman engineers improved irrigation systems, further maximizing agricultural output, and Roman administrators streamlined the collection of taxes and tribute. While Rome extracted immense wealth from Egypt, elements of ancient Egyptian culture persisted. The Roman emperors, recognizing the importance of continuity and religious tradition to the native population, continued to be depicted as pharaohs on temple walls, making offerings to Egyptian gods. Temples built during this period, like the Temple of Philae, dedicated to Isis, continued the traditional Egyptian architectural styles, often incorporating Roman elements in subtle ways. The cults of Egyptian deities, particularly Isis and Serapis, even spread throughout the Roman Empire, demonstrating the enduring influence of Egyptian religion beyond its borders. However, the nature of Egyptian society under Roman rule changed profoundly. The native Egyptians became subjects of a distant empire, their traditions often seen through the lens of Roman governance. Greek remained the language of administration and commerce, alongside Latin in the Roman military and official circles. The vibrant intellectual life of Alexandria continued for centuries, but the unique political and cultural autonomy of Egypt had come to an end. As we conclude this chapter, reflect on the poignant finality of Cleopatra's story and the ultimate absorption of ancient Egypt into the Roman sphere. It marks not a sudden death, but a gradual transformation, where a civilization's independent journey concludes, yet its cultural echoes continue to resonate across new empires. Let the quiet contemplation of this grand transition guide you into deeper rest. As the final rays of our historical journey gently touch the horizon, we arrive at the profound and far-reaching legacy of ancient Egypt, a civilization that, despite its eventual incorporation into the Roman Empire, never truly vanished. Its echoes resonate across millennia, shaping our art, our architecture, our language, and our very understanding of human history. Though independent Egypt ceased to exist in 30 BCE, its spirit and its material culture continued to influence the world for centuries, and indeed continues to inspire us today. Imagine the Roman emperors, ruling from distant Rome, still finding it necessary to represent themselves as pharaohs on Egyptian temple walls, a testament to the enduring power of the Egyptian religious and political iconography. Temples like Dendera and Esna, completed under Roman rule, continued to be built in the ancient Egyptian style, demonstrating a respect for tradition, or perhaps a pragmatic recognition of its sway over the local populace. The cults of Egyptian gods, particularly Isis and Osiris, traveled far beyond the Nile Valley, finding adherents across the Roman Empire, from the shores of Britain to the sands of Mesopotamia, showcasing the universal appeal of their mystical narratives and promise of salvation. The decline of the Roman Empire and the rise of Christianity brought further changes to Egypt. The ancient temples were gradually abandoned or repurposed as churches, and the knowledge of hieroglyphic writing, so central to Egyptian identity, slowly faded into obscurity. By the 4th century CE, with the widespread adoption of Coptic Christianity, the ancient Egyptian language, written in a Greek-derived script, continued in religious contexts, preserving a linguistic link to the pharaohs. However, the ability to read the monumental hieroglyphs was lost, transforming the majestic inscriptions on temples and tombs into beautiful yet unreadable mysteries for over 1,000 years. The Arab conquest of Egypt in the 7th century CE marked another significant cultural shift, bringing Islam and the Arabic language to the Nile Valley. Egypt became a vital part of the Islamic world, contributing significantly to its intellectual and artistic flourishing. Yet, even as new traditions took root, the physical remnants of ancient Egypt, The pyramids, temples, and tombs stood as silent witnesses to its glorious past, inspiring wonder and curiosity in travelers and scholars alike. The rediscovery of ancient Egypt by the Western world in the modern era began in earnest with Napoleon Bonaparte's Egyptian campaign in 1798. Imagine French scholars, artists, and scientists accompanying the army, documenting the ancient monuments with unprecedented detail. This expedition sparked a profound fascination, a veritable Egyptomania, across Europe. Ancient artifacts began to fill museums, and the enigmatic hieroglyphs became a captivating puzzle. The key to unlocking this puzzle came in 1822 with Jean-François Champollion's decipherment of the Rosetta Stone. Imagine the intellectual triumph as this single slab of granite, inscribed with a decree in hieroglyphic, Demotic, a later Egyptian script, and ancient Greek, finally provided the linguistic bridge to understand the lost language of the Pharaohs. This breakthrough revolutionized our understanding of ancient Egypt, allowing scholars to read texts, understand religious beliefs, and reconstruct the intricate narratives of its kings and queens, its daily life, and its profound philosophical insights. Since then, archaeological exploration has continued to reveal the wonders of ancient Egypt. Discoveries like Howard Carter's finding of Tutankhamun's tomb in 1922 captured the global imagination, bringing the vibrant art and intricate rituals of the New Kingdom to life. Imagine the hushed reverence as the sealed tomb was opened, revealing treasures that had lain undisturbed for over 3,000 years, offering an unparalleled glimpse into the beliefs surrounding the afterlife. The legacy of ancient Egypt is woven into the fabric of our modern world in countless ways. Consider the obelisks, those towering stone monuments, now gracing cityscapes from Paris to London to New York, silent reminders of Egyptian architectural genius. Imagine the influence of Egyptian art and symbolism on subsequent civilizations, from Greece and Rome to the Art Deco movement of the 20th century. The very concept of monumental architecture, of structures built to defy time and express profound power, owes a debt to the pyramids and temples of the Nile. Beyond the tangible, ancient Egypt left an enduring intellectual and spiritual legacy. Their advancements in medicine, mathematics, and astronomy, while perhaps less widely known than their pyramids, were significant. Their profound belief in an afterlife, their elaborate funerary practices, and their complex pantheon of gods continue to fascinate and influence religious and spiritual thought. The concept of Ma'at, the cosmic order and balance, remains a powerful ethical principle. As we bring our journey to a close, reflect on the resilience and ingenuity of the ancient Egyptians. They built a civilization that endured for over 3 millennia, leaving behind an unparalleled treasure trove of art, architecture, and written records. Their deep connection to the Nile, their unwavering belief in the divine, and their profound contemplation of life and death created a unique and captivating culture. The sands of Egypt hold countless stories, and as we continue to uncover them, our understanding of this magnificent civilization grows richer. Allow the soothing silence of this ancient world to envelop you completely. The history of ancient Egypt is a vast and tranquil ocean, and you have drifted gently across its surface, absorbing its enduring beauty and wisdom. May your dreams be filled with the quiet majesty of the pyramids, the serene flow of the Nile, and the timeless echoes of a civilization that continues to inspire. Rest deeply now, carried by the quiet conquest of knowledge.